It's a game weekend for the Arizona Coyotes as they have two games at back-to-back this weekend with the Los Angeles Kings and the Dallas Stars. We're going to talk about what's coming up for this weekend, mainly talking about Los Angeles on today's episode of Locked On Coyotes.
You're Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Robyn and Carl Pavlik right beside me. On this Friday, February 18th, we got a hockey finally coming back tomorrow for the Arizona Coyotes. They've had over a week off. It feels like it's been a long time, Carl, until I've actually get to see some actual hockey being played that's here in Arizona.
Oh, absolutely. It's been a while. The everything about this year's schedule is just crazy, and so just having a week off and all of these back-to-backs, it's like stop and go. It's stop and go hockey. The Coyotes' offense is stop and go. It's a lot of just you know feast or famine.
I'm not the biggest fan of back-to-backs, but you know what? Um, this weekend I think might be an exception just because, again, the Coyotes had a long break, right? And
Yeah.
because it was that long of a break, I'm just like, just give us more hockey.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
Yeah, and I will say like home and home back to backs are pretty. They seem
Those are manageable, right?
yeah, they definitely seem a lot easier than the road back to backs when you're having to deal with like travel and all that. Um, and I do think the Coyotes have a pretty good chance tonight against a former division rival in the Los Angeles Kings.
You would say that these two teams, like in terms of the Coyotes' biggest rival, probably even still is the Los Angeles Kings.
I would say so. More just because I think in general Phoenix and LA have a rivalry the same way that Arizona and California have a rivalry. It's just a very deeply ingrained thing. And the Coyotes and the Kings have met in the playoffs. They have history. They used to be very physical matches between Shane Doan and Dustin Brown. So yeah, they definitely have a history.
Shane Doan and Dustin Brown. Oh, those are two names right there. Oh boy.
Yeah, although Brown's still playing.
Yeah, which is
So
interesting given the kind of player that he is.
yeah, kind of player he is. Like he was trailing off for a while. They stripped him of his C, and yet he's still around. It's kind of impressive. I never want to say too many good things about Dustin Brown until he retires, in which case I'll probably say a lot of good things about him. But until then, like it's just like, oh wow, it's impressive you're still going.
I mean, we say that about a lot of hockey players. But I think there are some players who have gone who are like part of like rivalry teams, right? Teams that like I grew up hating.
Yeah.
I'll give a perfect example, and I wouldn't say hating, but disliked. I'll give a perfect example: the Sedin twins, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Obviously, because I saw what the Vancouver Canucks did this to my hometown, my childhood team in San Jose Sharks a couple of times. I hated the Sedin twins. It's like, oh, Sedin's this, Sedin's that. Please stop talking about the Sedins. But once they retired, I'm just like, you know what? Salute this to the Sedin twins for having a career they did. I have a massive amount of respect for them. It's crazy. It goes that way.
Yeah. Although I will say there was a difference between the play style of Dustin Brown and the Sedin, so
Oh yeah, no doubt
there's
about
a
it.
lot more reasons to dislike Brown than the Sedins. I thought you were gonna reach for someone kind of hateable. I was like, the Sedins, really? It's kind of disheartening. But yeah,
I
I get what
mean,
you're saying.
it's the first thing that came to my head. There were probably more out there that I just really can't think of right now.
Yeah.
But it's
Uh,
but yeah, yeah, this rivalry goes back. I mean, heck, a lot of us. can just look back to the 2012 playoffs. Like,
Yeah. I remember being in the stands for the Nashville Predator games and hearing people chanting "Beat LA" as it was expiring. It was quite a sight to see. The Phoenix Los Angeles rivalry just kind of transcends. Like I said, unfortunately, the Kings are up right now while the Coyotes are down, so it may not be the best.
well, because the Kings started their rebuild what 2 years ago, even last year.
Yeah,
So like and they've found some pieces,
yeah,
some pretty good pieces too, for their future already. So it's like obviously they'd be trending up.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, the Coyotes definitely can look to the Kings as a good replica for their rebuild so far because they have been doing it pretty well.
so Rob Blake what gets a lot of gets a lot of respect from you.
Yeah. I mean, take any inspiration you can get because rebuilds are hard. Find the success and copy it. It's a copycat league.
I mean, it's worked in a lot of places, not just the NHL, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think in general, it's always just been sports are just pretty much like, let's see
It's like,
someone do
oh,
something.
that the championship caliber team, they've built something up. Let's copy them.
Yeah. Although, like, it's kind of surprising the Kings did not have to do the massive like jettisoning of players that the Coyotes had to. Granted, there is some esteem to playing in Los Angeles. I think they kind of just attract more free agents than the Coyotes are going to. Um, but yeah, I do think there's a lot that the Coyotes can look to replicate. Um, you know, from the Kings.
Although one of the good things you can say about the Coyotes versus the Kings is they did not get themselves into cap hell for a while, like the Kings did,
Oh
because
yeah,
because look at this, Carl. I'm looking at some of their prospects. Anze Kopitar still got 3 more years at 10 million. Drew Doughty has got signed until the end of 2027 at 11 million a year. You got
I
Jonathan
forgot that
Quick's
that contract is that long.
contract. The Jonathan Quick has still got 2 more years at 5.8 million.
Yeah,
But they were able to move some assets around that made it less bad.
yeah.
But
I mean, they've definitely made a couple shrewd moves to get where they are. They're fourth in the Pacific. They're 4-4-2 in their last 10 games. They're, a quality team, and it'll be interesting to see if their rebuild continues to go smoothly because they very well could run into an issue in the next year or two where, you know,
a lot of rebuilds hit roadblocks. It's
yeah,
known to happen. It's not a guarantee, obviously. If you are in a rebuild and you don't hit a roadblock, you are actually lucky.
yeah,
Especially because, like, again, then that's why you have the retooling, and extra things like that, where you take a step back and be like, okay, that didn't work. Let's take a step back a little bit and go forward. We don't know at that point. It's the emergence period for Los Angeles. It's an interesting one, though.
it definitely is. And I mean, ideally, I would like to, as a Coyotes fan, like see 3 years from now that the Coyotes are beating the Kings consistently.
Hmm.
Especially since they're only going to have to face them twice a year. I don't know how I feel about that. Because like if the Coyotes can sweep the Kings every season, that'd be fun. I don't see that as very likely, but it'd be fun if it could happen.
Exactly. We still got more to get to on this episode of Lockdown Coyotes. We're going to take a look at both these teams, Arizona Coyotes and Los Angeles Kings, as we get ready for their game tomorrow, because that game is a home game for the Arizona Coyotes. They finally resume after over a week off. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but first, a quick word from Carl.
So I just got back from a walk earlier today, and I was getting kind of hungry. And so what I decided to do was reach for a Built Bar. And instead of just a regular Built Bar, I decided to go with the Built Bar Puffs. The Puffs are the first ever protein infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy, they're not just a protein bar, they're a treat. And even better, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. Puffs are a fan favorite with some incredible flavors: yummy cinnamony churro, coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie, all so good. You're going to find one that'll be your new favorite. Built bars are, you know, really healthy options for you if you're looking for something compared to a candy bar. It's only 130 grams or 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 grams of net carbs. What you want to do is go to built.com and use the promo code LOCK15 to get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at built.com.
So, back here on Locked On Coyotes, once again, we want to thank everyone for making Locked On Coyotes your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including on YouTube. So, thanks for everyone who tune in to our YouTube channel and watch our our video version of the podcast. Absolutely wonderful. We love your support. Let's get to this game though tomorrow, Carl. Once again, Arizona Coyotes versus Los Angeles Kings. And we were talking about how the Kings are, a pretty decent team to take a little bit of a copycat of their rebuild, especially of the kind of players that they were to acquire. And I'm going to go ahead and give some examples of two players that they drafted who are on the roster right now for the Kings and are, obviously it seems like they're making, somewhat of an impact. And I'm talking about Arthur Kaliev and Quentin Byfield.
Yes, definitely two players who are going and doing some good things for the Kings this year.
It's Byfield. What he was what drafted 2020 draft? Yeah, he's 19. So that 2020 draft. He was he was up there, right? And then
Yeah.
obviously because the Kings had second or third overall pick, so you'd expect something good to happen. The fact that he's already there, making an impact, it's awesome. And again, a year or two from now, we can see that same thing with Dylan Gunther, right? He can be starting to make a pretty good impact. Plus, you can have potentially Shane Wright down that road if the Coyotes are lucky enough to get that first overall and draft him.
Of
Or
course, yeah.
really any other top 5 picks in the first round of the upcoming draft, because as we mentioned before, the deep draft. We'll get more into that later this season.
Yeah.
But again, Bill Armstrong sees a template.
Yeah.
And that was an example.
And I mean, like, the other player you mentioned, Arthur Kayev, just seeing like it's his first season, already has 9 goals, 6 assists. That's pretty impressive. I would love for the Coyotes rookies to really start hitting in a way that Barrett Hayton has played this year, but he hasn't really gotten to be the offensive threat that he occasionally looked like in juniors. We still don't know what Victor Soderstrom's going to be. The Coyotes definitely need a rookie to come in and show some good offensive, potential. And we have that in Gunther. We could potentially have that in anyone that we draft in the first 5. But yeah, that's just definitely a key piece to a rebuilding team. Just having that kind of offensive flair.
Plus, we've been watching, at least, I don't want to say watching exactly, not be keeping a 100, like not like a extremely close eye, but paying attention to Josh Doan over in the NCAA because he's just freaking down the street.
Yeah, yeah. We're definitely seeing some highlights for Doan. I do think just he's a couple of years away. I don't think he's
Absolutely.
going to be making it anytime soon. But yeah, it's definitely. Sorry, it's my cat. It's definitely an interesting situation for the Coyotes, and yeah, the Kings are a team that, for all we can see right now, are rebuilding the right way.
And yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how how that continues and how this game goes because as you mentioned at the beginning, teams trending in different directions. Obviously,
Yeah.
the Coyotes are literally just starting their from the ground up rebuild, like
Yeah.
completely blown up and starting anew.
Scorched earth. It'll be interesting to see because these teams are also like on different parts of a back to back. The Kings are playing in the second game of theirs, and the Coyotes are playing in the first. I don't know if we've brought this up yet, but the Kings are playing tonight against the Vegas Golden Knights. So hopefully
And
Vegas will
that's
wear them out.
that's a difficult matchup. We all know that Vegas is always a tough team to play, especially now that that Jack Eichel has officially joined the team. Like
Has he started skating yet for them or?
he had his first game already.
Oh, he did.
Yeah,
I I remember seeing that was coming up. I didn't know if if it had actually happened yet.
I'm
But
pretty sure he had his first game already.
I mean, either way, that just
Yeah,
we
he
get
had
to
his
play
first game
the
just the other day.
yeah. Coyotes get to play the Golden Knights next a week from now, so that's gonna be fun.
Oh, I hope it's not another like 7-1 like the last time they played.
It should also be noted that the Coyotes are also going to be playing the Kings 5 days from now. So these two teams are playing each other for this fun back to back for both of them, and then they get to face each other again. It's going to be an interesting time.
Oh, and as we mentioned, these teams don't like each other, so it's gonna make for some fun hockey.
Yeah.
Maybe we're gonna see some what's a good what's a good thing? Dustin Brown versus Liam O'Brien.
O'Brien is questionable for tonight, so it's not sure if he's going to be
Tomorrow night
in
or tonight.
or
Tonight, yeah, tomorrow night.
tomorrow night.
Yeah.
But I mean, if something were to happen on Saturday, then
Then let's get Andrew Ladd in there.
yeah,
Another physical player.
then next Wednesday you may get that response because it's such a short break between games that if something happens, I'm not saying anything's going to, but it's hockey. Things happen sometimes. You could definitely see some carryover.
Absolutely. I'm interested to see because the Kings are going to be on the second of their back to back. Who, what their goalie situation looks like, right? Because
Yeah,
they got Jonathan Quick and Cal Peterson. Obvious. I'm not sure what their style is. Like how often they use their both of them. And it looks like it would be a decent amount, especially if Cal Peterson's going to have a contract worth $5 million next year.
yeah. I mean, it's really tough to know with the Kings since they've only played 2 games in the month of February. So we don't have a lot of like recent kind of history to see like how they've been trending. Uh, I would expect you start quick against the Golden Knights. Um, that just seems to make sense to me. If I was an NHL coach, I would do that, unless there was, of course, something day of that made you consider otherwise. But
So Daily Faceoff has it unconfirmed, but Daily Faceoff predicts that Cal Peterson will be in net tonight for the get their game against the Vegas Golden Knights, and let's see if they have it reported for the 19th, which they probably do because Daily Faceoff likes to do that. And it still says Cal Peterson, which obviously would be
yeah, that's weird. I didn't see any kind of reports that
no.
Quick was.
It says
Oh,
unconfirmed. So Daily Faceoff just as based off who tends to be the better goaltender because Jonathan Quick is 36 and has not been playing his best hockey in the last few years.
yeah, but he has got Quick has played 28 or started 28 games compared to Cal Pearson's 19. 9 point or 912 save percentage, 2.6 goals against. He's playing better than Peterson, and he's playing more. So I'm curious to see why Daily Faceoff is doing that. I don't know. I think you start quick against the Golden Knights, you start Peterson against the Coyotes, but they're also not going to have any games until the next time they play the Coyotes. So yeah, maybe you start the better goaltender for both.
Wait, so LA is off until they play the Coyotes again.
Yes. Uh,
And they're both at in Glendale. So here's the question for you. Maybe something that maybe you can think about. Do the Kings leave Arizona?
I mean, it's to LA. Like that's
Yeah,
a
but like,
in
you
a
know,
private jet. I
fair.
think
Yeah,
that
true.
that's like commuting to Scottsdale. Uh, back to their hotel, and it's easier just to go right to the airport and fly back. So yeah,
Fair. I guess if it was like, if we were talking like Montreal,
yeah.
then
Or I mean that situation wouldn't happen for Montreal. If we were talking about Winnipeg,
there we go.
uh,
Yeah, perfect. That's a
another
better
division
example.
team,
Or
yeah,
Edmonton.
or
Like,
Edmonton, yeah. In that case, yeah, maybe, but no, for the Kings, a flight from Phoenix to LA, I think people make that all the time.
do you remember what happened for the how it worked for the 7-game series against St. Louis last year? I mean,
Oh,
obviously those were pretty close to each other, but they still had some
yeah,
week between them.
yeah, that was just craziness.
Never
I meant
forget.
th- that was probably the highlight of the season. Definitely the highlight of the season, I would say.
Wait, I just realized we're I think at the year anniversary of that series.
I mean, yeah, that timeline fits. We're gonna have to go back and check.
Absolutely. Anyways, though, we had to take a quick break. We're actually going to talk about in a sec the bet online picks of the game, make our predictions of how this game is going to go. But before that, I want to let you guys know that football might be over for the season, but basketball is in full steam for both pro and college hoops. From all the latest odds, polls, player performance props to where the next fired coach is going to land. BetOnline.net remains the number one spot for all your sports betting needs. BetOnline remains the best spot for all sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline.net is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC odds, right down to the Olympic coverage and information. Head to the website or use your mobile device to learn about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. So now let's get to our BetOnline picks of the game. We actually do not have the Lions available because the Kings have still yet to play their first of the back-to-back against the Golden Knights, and we don't get advanced lines until later, because obviously they go game by game for each team, which
Yeah,
makes sense.
you want to have the
Um,
most up to odds.
exactly, but it's not going to stop us from making picks, right? And you can base off what our predictions are going to be and place your bets on that if you so choose.
Yeah, I mean, I do like to think that when we're talking about, the bets and the lines, we're telling you what we think is going to happen, and yeah, we're going to tell you what we think is going to happen for this one.
And you and I are pretty average, right? In our picks, like we're not like majority right, but also we also are not epic fails, and we we know this team, so we know
Yeah.
what they're capable of, and we know where the trends have been. I think this month hasn't been great for us in our picks, but it's
I
okay.
mean, we know the team as much as we can know the team, but the Coyotes, I think, do not know themselves that well. Either that, or like I said, they don't necessarily have the confidence in themselves, so they do sometimes fall apart.
Absolutely. But let's get to these predictions, Carl. Um and I'm curious to know how what your thinking is going to be with this again, because of the fact that the Kings will be playing their second of the back-to-back, and the Coyotes their first game in well over a week.
So the thing that's kind of stood out to me when I was looking at the Kings' schedule this month is they've only had 2 games, like I said before. They'll play their third tonight. They beat the Detroit Red Wings 5-3. They lost 5-2 to the Edmonton Oilers. Kind of seems to me that they're a little bit more high offense, which could be an indicator that sloppiness, the rust end of the rest rust spectrum. So I'm going to think this is going to be a little bit of a higher scoring game. I don't necessarily think it's going to be that high, but I'm thinking like a 4-3 game. And I'm going LA in overtime.
4-3 LA in overtime.
Yeah.
What a pick! I like craziness.
Yeah.
um, and I'm with you on that. I think if you look at the trends, how the Kings last played, it's hard to really gauge the trends again because, as you mentioned, they haven't played very much. The Coyotes, on the other hand, have played more games, but at the same time have had over a week off.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, how do we gauge that too? Because the last time the Coyotes had like more than a week off, look at how crazy that game was. I think that was after
Uh,
the COVID break,
Let me check in
or
this.
because they had the Sharks game, and I think they had a week off, and then they played close to a week off, and then they played Dallas, and then but before that with the COVID break. So that period of time.
Yeah. Oh, the Sharks game because it was they played the Ducks. They lost 6-5. Or no, they won 6-5
Yeah.
in overtime on the 17th. Next game was against the San Jose Sharks on the 28th, an 8-7 shootout win for the Sharks. So, yeah, the Coyotes are definitely on the rusty end of the rust spectrum too.
So this will definitely be a sloppy game. Now this begs the question: will it be as sloppy as the Coyotes Sharks game back in December? That I don't know because the Kings are a better team than the Sharks
Yeah.
are. Which leads me to believe that this game, to me, I think is going to end in regulation.
Okay.
Now I'm going to say it's going to be a close one though. I think the last one's going to go on an empty netter,
Okay.
and it's going to be a 5-3 Kings win.
So you would still say the over?
Yeah, it will be if assuming the over is
Like,
5.5.
yeah. Well, I mean, even if assuming
Even if
it's
it's 5 or
six.
5.5 or 6.5, even 6, whatever that range is, it's usually around there. But
Yeah.
yes, it's gonna be over.
Yeah. I think we're both kind of the same mind that, you know, the the Coyotes are going to be rusty. There's a good chance the Kings are going to be rusty, or tired, or something. So this seems like it has the potential to be a high scoring game. Uh, I do want to note that the last time these two teams played, it was very low. The Coyotes won 2-1 in overtime. Kyle Capabianco got the game winner, who we talked about yesterday. So it definitely seems like it'll be a departure from that.
Yeah, will be interesting because of all I mean, that was a long time ago. Last time they played each other. So
Yeah, November 21st, the second game of a back to back. I don't know if you're noticing a theme this season, listeners, but yeah,
back
that
to
feels like a
backs.
lifetime ago.
I think in general, because November was a October and November was a brutal time to be a Coyotes fan.
Yeah, it was the what the fourth Coyotes win of the month, and their first time of the season having a win streak.
Oh God, what a time!
In November, late November. Yeah, what a time.
Um, that's going to be interesting though. But so, based off that, you can make betting picks and trends off of what we're saying. Essentially, is Kings win. You both of us are different though in what a spread would look like. Assuming it'd be like Kings by 1.5. You would say the Coyotes cover because you have it go to overtime. I say the Kings cover because the Kings get an empty netter.
Yeah.
That's what it would be, assuming the lines are as the trends have been.
Yeah.
Make your picks based off of that, if you decide to do so.
Yeah. And then, I mean, definitely make sure to watch the Kings game against the Golden Knights tonight to make sure that there's not like a horrific season-ending injury for a key player, because it's hockey. There's a reason we don't have the odds yet. We're telling you about the game, but there's definitely going to be one tonight that could greatly impact what we're saying.
Absolutely. But those are our picks for the game. Again, if you decide to bet, please gamble responsibly. We like making advice, but be responsible with what you feel comfortable with.
Of course.
Anyways, though, we are out of time of this episode of Locked On Coyotes. If you like what you heard, don't forget to leave a review, like, comment, subscribe if you get too ready. We're available everywhere you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. And as a little teaser for you guys, as a quick teaser, we have a special guest coming up early next week on our show. You'll definitely want to tune in. I mentioned in yesterday's episode that this person is a major person in Arizona sports. I'll give you one more clue before you take the guest through this afternoon, Carl, and that is that this person loves to help grow the game.
It's a good clue.
It's a good clue.
Yeah.
Go ahead and tweet at us or comment on our YouTube. Who do you think that this guest is? We'll make our announcement this afternoon. It will be fun.
Yeah, definitely.
But once again, if you have yet to already, check us out on social media. We're at facebook.com/LockedOnCoyotes, on Twitter at @LO_Coyotes, and on Instagram at LockedOnCoyotes. And I am personally at Robyn_Leonio. Carl Pavlik is Carl Pavlik FFH. Ask the question, we might answer right back or on a future episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. Thanks again, everyone, for listening to today's episode. Hope you guys are staying safe out there. Hope you guys are staying healthy. And don't forget to howl on.